just started it.
Welcome to a Sunday night edition of the One Shining Recap show. We are Sans, Travis, and Matt tonight. Travis was at the race in Atlanta today, and Matt, he wasn't going to be able to get on until super late, and me and William Luke decided to just go ahead and do it because I think both of us would be passed out by the time we got over with the show, or we started at 11. But it was a big weekend of college basketball. We're going to let people roll in here. I may tweet out the links here.
Oh, I need to do that too.
Yeah, we need to tweet out the links, get some people in here.
Get some traction. Yeah. Okay.
We'll just kind of talk the crap, but there's a lot of big games this weekend, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday today.
Yeah, it was a good weekend.
Yesterday, I didn't watch many of the games because I was at a game yesterday. I went to ETSU versus Wofford. We'll talk about that.
Mm-hmm.
But I saw a lot of the scores. We're texting in our group chat about them. But obviously, it's kind of after a Rob Douster interview. He was at the UConn St. John's game today. William Luke was not there for that, which was a cool experience. But he was great for the podcast. So go watch that if you haven't watched it already. I'm going to tweet out the links here.
That's what I'm doing too. Yeah, I was pretty aggravated. I couldn't get on for Saturday because I had work.
Mm-hmm.
And I heard it went really well though. And I saw who was it that used Matt's reference on TV?
It was Rob Douster.
Yeah,
he was talking to somebody. They were talking about I forget which team they were talking about.
Wasn't it Michigan?
Michigan, yeah, Michigan. We were talking about the Big Ten. So let me tweet this.
I just put it on my Snap too. Like I told people we're live on Set Tater Media on YouTube.
Mm-hmm. See if we get people commenting in here in a minute.
Oh yeah, I'll put in some group chats I'm in too.
We are live.
Bang. I had to make sure my link worked.
Share to the Snapchat. Share to. We go.
I'm sure a lot of people tuning in now. I just put in a bunch of group chats I'm in.
Discord. Okay. Okay, I guess we can get started. I tweet everything. Well, I guess we'll get started on Friday. There's two big games on Friday, plus a couple mid-major games. The first one I think we should talk about is the Villanova-Marquette game, which Rob Douster was covering. We covered that on the podcast. But what a performance by Villanova. They won 81-66 over Marquette's been in the slide here recently in the Big East. They kind of taken themselves out of contention in the Big East race. They just haven't – their guard play hasn't been great. Cam Jones at the start of the year looked like an All-American. He may still be, but not at first. He's not in contention for first or second team, I don't think, at this point. Stevie Mitchell didn't play great. Chase Ross was their leading – well, actually, they had someone with 25 points off the bench.
I was going to say Lowry came off the bench and had 25.
Yeah. That's a bit shocking. I didn't see that till just now. But Zayd Lowry was their leading scorer. Villanova, they've been up and down this year, but they've had some good performances mixed in with some really bad ones. We would be remiss to not talk about Eric Dixon, the leading scorer in the nation. He had 22 points.
Mm.
I believe is he the leading scorer in the nation currently?
Let me double check that. I know he's up there. Give me one sec. I'm about to Google it. Yeah, but while I look that up, like you said, Villanova has been a little inconsistent at times, but they also have like some really good wins.
Mhm.
Like, that win over St. John's was huge.
I know when did they play them? I know they beat UConn here this past week, which, I mean, that's kind of not – actually, no, they lost to UConn. They beat UConn earlier in the year.
Yeah, they lost to them on Tuesday.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but Villanova beat St. John's last Wednesday.
Mm-hmm. Right after St. John's had that first win over UConn.
Mm-hmm.
We'll get to them later, but another big win for Villanova. I know they're probably out of the tournament right now, but I mean they put together some big wins. If they get hot in the Big East tournament, they could be a bid stealer. You just never know. Big East has been kind of crazy this year. A lot of good teams or teams that are bouncing back from irrelevance. But just a big win all around for Villanova. Do you have any other thoughts on that game?
I mean, I think you covered it mostly. You know, Lowry coming off the bench with 25 was huge. You know, and again, like you said, they're just such an up and down team. You never know what you're going to get. Like the St. John's win last week was massive at home, where they only won by 2. So like it's a team who just, you know, they're streaky. If they get hot, they could be a team who like makes some noise in the Big East tournament, like kind of like a long shot flyer play, you know. But that's all I really got for that game.
Yeah, I mean, just so I think we've covered that game adequately enough. Eric Dixon had that 25 points. Villanova's leading scorer was Eric Dixon with 23, and Jameer Brickus had 21. So I think that's enough since I don't think I watched much of that one. I just saw the score. I watched a little bit of Michigan State and Michigan.
I had that tuned in for a little bit. I was mainly at work, so I didn't get to watch much of it, but I had it on for a little bit during my lunch break.
Friday, I kind of was zoned out. I forgot that game was on Friday night. So I tuned in towards the end of the first half and a little bit in the second half. I ended up watching the end of it, but Michigan State, what a statement win. They had a couple statement wins this week over Purdue and Michigan. I think they've solidified themselves as the Big Ten champion, regular season champion. We'll see how they do in the Big Ten tournament. But a 75-62 win. Michigan's kind of been skidding by. They've gotten a lot of close games. They've kind of been lucky. Michigan State's offense has started to come together. They aren't or haven't been known as one of the more good 3-point shooting teams in the Big Ten. They've kind of just played through their defense and physicality. Jace Richardson had another massive game for him. He's a stud. Like he's probably going to be an NBA player.
I think so. I think so too.
I don't know how many years he'll stay in college, but he's just athletically inclined. You had Trey Holloman, 18 points a game, or big off the bench for Michigan State with 18 points. Jeremy Fears and Jay Atkins, they have some good physical guards. They play. They just play good. On the other hand, Michigan's guards did not play good.
No.
Burnett, Reuben Jones only had 2 points.
Didn't have a good game.
Yeah, Donaldson had 3 points.
Yeah, he was like 1 of 4 from 3. He wasn't very efficient that night.
Michigan they got their usual production from Golden. Wolf didn't play that great, but he did have 11.
He had like 11.
Yeah, he did have 8 assists though. So
yeah,
I mean, they just got their usual production from those two guys.
Yeah.
But like I said, that I kind of talked about that with Rob Douster on Friday. Michigan's guard play is very suspect.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
I don't think they are a strong contender in March Madness, to be honest. I mean,
Probably not because of their guard play, like you said. That's gonna be something that's gonna get them in one of these games.
They go on the road. Were they at home? Let's see. Were they at home
for this game?
Oh yeah, they were at home. So
yeah, they lost at home.
I mean, they usually play pretty good at home, but on the road, their guards just don't do much. And we saw that even against a team like Michigan State, they just got shut down.
Yeah.
Entirely. And yeah.
I mean, this is a huge game for the Big Ten regular season title race. Because of this one, Michigan State's only a half a game ahead of Michigan now. So Michigan's still in it. Like, if the Spartans lose a couple games, Michigan's still in that prime position to win the Big Ten. But this was really a big game, kind of narrowing that gap. Well, it's not a huge gap. It's only a half game, like I said. But still, it's still there, especially when Michigan has to go on the road and finishes the season at Michigan State.
Yeah, I know that Michigan still has to play a tough Maryland team.
Yeah.
They play at Nebraska this week. I mean,
they welcome in Rutgers after that.
And they also play Illinois. All those are tough games.
Yeah, that's tough. That is
tough. I know going on the road to Nebraska wins quite a bit there. Rutgers, I think we talked about this before, a little bit before the show. Dylan Harper and Ace Bailey, two of the elite young guards in the nation. So
yeah,
it's not an easy road for Michigan the rest of the way.
No, because while Nebraska is 7-9 in conference play, they are 10-3 at home. So that should be something that's like, man, that's a tough spot to go to.
Yeah.
Because they have win. Let me look at their schedule. I'm looking. They have wins over. I'm looking. They beat at home. They beat UCLA. Let's see. They beat a good Illinois team at home in overtime. Yeah, they have a few good wins at home, and like I said, they're 10-3 at home. So that's gonna be a tough spot for Michigan to go to.
I know in Michigan State, I mean, they have a tough schedule too, but they play at Maryland versus Wisconsin, at Iowa, and then versus Michigan. But the win on the road at Michigan, I think that kind of gives them momentum going into that.
It's a big separator. It's a big separator. And plus, I trust Michigan State to go on the road and win games because of their guard plays better than a team like Michigan's. Like you said earlier, we were just talking about Jace Richardson. He's a really good true freshman for them. And then you said Jeremy Fears as well, right? He's really good.
Yeah, he's really good.
So they have a better guard play, like a rotation than Michigan does. So I'm not as worried about them on the road. So, but that's all I really got to say about that one. If you want to,
I think so too. I wanted to quickly mention before we get to Saturday's games. There's a couple other good mid-major games. One of them was Loyola Chicago over Dayton in a close one, 76-72. That was a big one in the A10 race. They're both those teams are probably out of the title contention, but still, I mean, they could be potential bid stealers. So that's a close one. The other mid-major game I wanted to focus on was Miami, Ohio over Kent State. They went to overtime. Miami of Ohio is kind of looking like a contender. I think they may be one of the MAC teams up there with Akron, and we'll kind of get to Akron. I want to talk about their game today.
Yeah, Miami, Ohio they're second right now.
Yeah.
They're only behind Akron, like you said.
But I mean, they've been good. I can't remember the last time they were this good. To be honest, just shine some light on some mid majors. But
Yeah.
another interesting game. We talked about Doug at Green Bay.
Yeah.
They dropped another tough one against Robert Morris, 94-85.
How long is that going to last with
I
him?
I have no clue, to be honest. We'll see if
Like,
he gets another year.
like this year, they're 1-17 in conference play. They've won one game in
Yeah.
conference play all year. I don't understand. Like, I know Travis brought this up a couple streams ago. He was during a week that they had a game, he was on Radio Row in New Orleans for the Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't understand how this guy is employed as a head coach for them. It's just baffling at this point.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, but I feel like we talked about Doug Gottlieb enough.
Doug Gottlieb. Yeah, I think that's all we deserve, right?
Yeah, that feels right. I mean, my Lord.
But now we're going to get into the Saturday games. There's a few big
ones.
A lot of good games. I think we'll start out with Auburn.
Okay.
I think that's where we'll start. We'll start at number one. We'll kind of go.
Yeah.
These aren't really.
I'll leave this one off if you don't mind, since
Mm-hmm.
I'm kind of the Auburn guy around here,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So to me, I wrote an article about this game, my 3 takeaways from it. This is the most obvious statement of the year, but without Janiah's Broome performance, we don't win this game. Because the first time we played Georgia in Stedman Coliseum, we only won by 2. If Janiah doesn't do what he does, going for 30 and 14, his 17th double-double of the year, we lose this game. Like, Georgia gave us everything we want, like, all we could handle pretty much. And Janiah he carried, like, Auburn on, like, his back at times when we couldn't go and get anything going offensively. And I really think this game he just had, since he just dropped a 30-burger, is going to really, like, impact the National Player of the Year odds. I really do, because it was Cooper Flagg was the heavy favorite beforehand. And now, like, Janiah just dropped 30 against Georgia. And to me, he should be the National Player of the Year if we're talking about Janiah Broome. Like, he's on the number 1 team in the nation. He leads that team in points, assists, rebounds, and blocks while having 17 double-doubles on the season. Like, what else would you want from your National Player of the Year? Like, what else does he need to do at this point? It just kind of feels like it's Cooper Flagg's probably going to win it, but it's I don't know how at this point you don't give it to Janiah Broome.
I know Cooper Flagg is still the odds-on favorite to win it.
Yeah.
I know I kind of saw some on CBS earlier. I think I don't know if it was before Purdue game or during halftime. They were talking about Cooper Flagg versus Janiah Broome, National Player of the Year odds.
Mm-hmm.
And they just kind of were talking about how it was 50-50 split at this point.
Yeah. I mean,
it's up in there. Yeah, it's they said it was it'll probably be one of the closest National Player of the Year races we've seen.
It's been an incredible race. And then removing myself from the Auburn side of it for a second, like as an Auburn fan, as someone who likes college basketball, it's awesome to see this. It really is, because they're just going back and forth on, who really does deserve it. I think both sides do have compelling arguments and solid arguments for themselves. Now, I'm fully biased, I'll admit, like all the reasons I listed earlier about Janiah leading, Auburn in a bunch of different stats, doing it in the SEC, which has been one of the best regular season conferences of all time this year.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the things he's doing is National Player of the Year worthy, like, obviously. I think he should be the front runner. Is he going to win it? Probably not. In my opinion, why he won't win it is because of the media. Like, they want Cooper Flagg to win it so bad. And it's not that – this is not a shot at Cooper Flagg. He's a really good player. Don't get me wrong. But at the same time, with what Janiah is doing on the number 1 team, I don't know how I just can't wrap around my head how he doesn't win it. But I'm a biased Auburn fan, so what do I know?
I mean, I get how you feel. Just kind of like, I know if there was another great player, like for example, if Anthony Davis was playing last year when Zach Edey was playing in, and Zach Edey didn't get the award because of Anthony Davis just going insane. I would be exactly like you in your scenario. So
Yeah.
I get how that feels. So I mean, I think either player is deserving.
I do think both are deserving.
Yeah, I think it's going to come down to just a few votes, honestly.
It's going to definitely come down to the wire. And that's why I said earlier, like, Cooper Flagg's probably going to win because of the media. And Duke being an all-time
NBA media
better national, like, basketball program all-time than Auburn is. Like, more of, like, you know what I mean by that?
Mm-hmm.
That they're probably going to favor, like, Duke in that way. And, like, this is just something like Janai did, like, against Georgia. He had 31 points, 14 rebounds, 4 assists. No other player all year has reached those totals versus a D1 team this season. Not one player, not another game they've played. Like, what he's doing is, like, historic at a school like Auburn. That's not a traditional basketball power, which is just crazy to me. And, like, I just don't know. I know he's probably not going to win it because of media and, like, what they want the true freshman from Duke to win it. But he should. Like, it's not going to be, like, levels of, like, disgrace or anything because Cooper Flagg is the deserving candidate. But it's definitely like, okay, this one kind of has an asterisk next to it, I guess. But I'll get off my soapbox about Janai Room. I know people aren't interested in me just ranting the whole podcast talking about Janai and how he should win it. So, you got anything else for that game? That's really just all I
didn't watch much of it, but I know it was close for a little bit, and then Auburn pulled away. I didn't see Janai Broom having 31 points. I know you probably messaged about it. I didn't.
Yeah, I said something like that.
I don't think I didn't watch much of the game, but I know I pretty much expected Auburn to roll in that one.
Yeah.
Georgia firmly out of the NCAA tournament.
Yeah.
Talk. So we'll see. They have some good young players, but we'll see how they do next year. They'll probably be in the NIT. But
you think next year they'll be in the NIT?
No. I said this year in the NIT.
Oh, this year. I got you.
We'll see how they do next year, if they can build upon what they've accomplished so far this year. But I think I'm just going to go down here through sort of by ranking because I forget what times the games were played. Next one, we won't have to talk much about this, but Florida rolls over LSU.
This game was LSU was up at one point.
Oh, they were?
Yeah.
Oh, it shows at half they were up 37-31.
Yeah, like Florida had to, like, claw their way back into that game. And, like, Florida was a 9-point favorite. I took Florida to cover. And when I saw they were down by, like, 10 or whatever it was, I was like, oh, man, they may win, but they're not covering this number. And then they did. So I was happy to be wrong.
Because they have an explosive offense. They kind of had a balanced attack yesterday. Chinlu, Thomas Howe, Walter Clayton, Elijah Martin.
Walter Clayton always is going to get his. He's ridiculous. Yeah. He's a bucket.
That Elijah Martin, going into March, having him on the team for Florida, that's gonna be huge because he was at Florida Atlantic in their 2 tournament runs or shortened tournament run the second year, but just kind of having that experience on a Florida team that doesn't really have as much experience. Some other
like after I saw what Florida did to Auburn and Neville, I'm probably as high on Florida as anybody when it comes to tournament time. Like they have all the makings you want of, like, a tournament team. Like, to me, I think the national champion, this is not a hot take by any means. I feel like most people that watch college basketball, like even your casual watchers, would probably agree with this. Your national champion is probably going to come out of Duke, Florida, Auburn, or it seems like St. John's at this point has kind of inserted themselves into that mix. like Florida has all the recipes to go on and win a national title.
Mm-hmm. I know who was it that was out for a while for them? They got hurt.
I remember his name. I know who you're talking about. I don't know why I can't. I'm seeing his face right now, but I can't put my finger on it. Wasn't it Alex Condon? Wasn't that it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Alex Condon.
I
think he's still out. I think he's still out.
No, he played.
Oh, he played?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he played. Let me see. No, he's out still. He can't. I thought he was back for the Auburn game. Is why I'm like,
maybe he re-injured himself in practice or something.
Yeah, because he played 33 minutes at Auburn. He had 17 points and 10 rebounds. He had a good game.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I don't know what happened there. I didn't see anything about an injury. I guess I just must have missed that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, maybe they were just being cautious with him because LSU is not very good.
Mm-hmm.
So, but that's really all I got about that one. If you want to move on to this one,
I think the next game we're going to talk about is the absolutely throttling that Illinois got by Duke.
Yeah,
110-67. I think Duke might be. They are definitely a Final Four team. I had them picked out from the beginning of the season to be in that Final Four. I just think Illinois at this point in the season, their coaching isn't there. They had a decent performance. They just shot 2 of 26 from 3.
Yeah,
against
you can't
Duke,
do that and expect to win.
Against Duke especially. Duke just played a masterclass. They shot 12 of 23 from 3, 40 of 72 from the field. Just absolute masterclass. Their whole team scored in double digits, pretty much.
They had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 players scored in double digits.
Just absolute. In such a random time in the year to play a top 10 team. I don't know how this came together. I was playing in Madison Square Garden this weekend. So I don't know what the logic was behind that, but I don't believe in Illinois as a team right now, and I firmly believe in Duke. So
like I said, Duke's in that mix for one of the teams who can go on and win a national title. But there's not really much to say about that game. It's just a blowout. Not really much to say there. Duke blew out a not great Illinois team. So, but let's see.
I know
to talk about is Iowa State Houston.
Yeah, I was going to kind of get into that. The next 3 games we're going to talk about were all ranked matchups.
Yeah.
The first of these, Houston won over Iowa State, 68-59. Let's sort of talk about that one. I know LJ Cryer had 28 points for Houston.
He had a great game.
Yeah.
Had a great game.
Uzon continues to play good. Milos Uzon. Manuel Sharp showed up. Iowa State played decently, but just Houston played out of their gourd from the 3-point line, 10 of 17.
Yeah.
Not the typical Houston approach. They kind of like to grind out the game. I think these are both teams that kind of like to grind the game down to a slow pace. You can tell by the score, 68-59. Kind of a grudge match between 2 Big 12 powerhouses. Just kind of a big win. Do you have anything else on that one?
I mean, just about Houston. Ever since they lost that game at home to Texas Tech, they've won 6 in a row. Like, they've just been – that Texas Tech game really sparked something in them. And now tomorrow, actually, they go to Texas Tech and have a chance to avenge that loss from earlier in the year that they dropped. So Houston's one of those teams that, they're still hanging around. I think people are kind of forgetting about them a little bit, but they're still a team that could be in the Final Four this year. They have that experience to go. But that's all I really got about that.
I think Houston pretty much locked up the Big 12 title after that win, a regular season title at least.
Yeah.
We'll kind of get into another game later, but I don't think Texas Tech and Houston, that's like the final game. It would, if anyone could challenge them, it would be Texas Tech.
I mean,
But
Arizona's second right now at 12-3.
Yeah, they're Texas Tech and Arizona are tied, 3 games back. They're 12-4 each.
Yeah.
But I think Houston has that locked up. The next one I wanted to talk about, it was probably the earliest game of the day. Tennessee and Texas A&M.
Yeah.
Tennessee gritted out a win over Texas A&M. Another good offensive performance by Tennessee. They were 13 of 27 from the three-point land. Chaz Lanier had 30 points. Zakai Ziegler had 16 points, 10 of which were behind the free-throw line. Texas A&M, they didn't shoot too great. Wade Taylor got his 18 points. Zurich Phillips got 15, and Anderson Garcia got 14.
See, Wade Taylor did finish with 18, but he was 0-9 from 3.
Yeah, you can't
get one that night.
They shot as a team, they shot 5 of 30 from 3.
Yeah.
That's
the fact that it was even this close when they shot that poor. Like, they should have lost by more. When you shoot 5 of 30 from 3, you probably should lose more than single digits, which I'm shocked they didn't.
Because I know I've kind of said this all year. A&M, I'm not a huge believer in A&M.
Yeah.
I'm not really a huge believer in Tennessee either. Although they've put together some good offensive performances.
Yeah.
But the fact that they shot as well as they did and only won by around 8 points, I mean,
that is kind of a red flag.
Yeah, that's a red flag to me.
Yeah, but Tennessee's an interesting case to me.
Yeah.
Because they do have that experience, especially at guard, to be able to be a team that makes the run or sneaks around in March. It's going to be really important. Like, for every team, it's important the matchup they get, but especially for Tennessee, because if they get into a matchup with a team who can really score and they have to match that production, that's not going to be a game that fits their style.
I know they kind of for years they've liked to drag the game down, slow the game down.
Yeah.
But if they have a team, like you said, if they come up against a team that just likes to run the court, we've seen it.
Score.
We've seen that against Kentucky. Kentucky dictates the pace, and Tennessee has no answer.
But if Tennessee runs into a team like Florida in the SEC tournament, I don't like that for Tennessee. That's not a great styles make fights more times than not, and that's not a style of a game that would benefit Tennessee. So that's all I really got for that one. I mean, like you said, kind of a red flag that Texas A&M shot as poor as they did, and they stuck around. They were never just kind of a red flag for Tennessee moving forward.
Let's find the next game. The next game.
Go ahead.
I was going to say the next big game of the day was Alabama versus Kentucky.
I was going to bring that one up too. Yeah.
We were talking about Kentucky. Kentucky's kind of been in a slide here recently outside of the Tennessee games.
I mean, Alabama kind of was too.
Yeah. Alabama, they played a great offensive game against Kentucky.
Yeah. Mark Sears had a really – he needed a bounce-back game here, and he got it.
I think Alabama is just a bad matchup for Kentucky. Kentucky, any team that kind of can score
like Tennessee.
It can score at the same pace as they score. Their defense just doesn't leave enough, especially with Lamont Butler out. That's huge for their defensive. I think they have someone else out too. But they just couldn't keep up the pace with Alabama.
Yeah.
Of course, with Mark Sears, Chris Youngblood played good. Aiden Holloway, former Auburn player. They just kind of just got into a track meet, and Kentucky couldn't keep up.
Yeah, that's the style that Alabama really thrives off of is
Mhm.
track meets.
Mhm.
And that's what they want to make every game. Like we were talking about earlier, like Tennessee is a team that really needs to slow down the game and play into their style, like, really
Mhm.
run down the shot clock and get high percentage loads at the rim. Alabama wants to just move it at that pace. That's been Nate Oates' whole thing since he's been at Alabama is, quick playing, 3-point shooting. So that just, Kentucky wasn't well equipped pretty much to, combat that with Alabama shooting and wanting to, push the pace so much.
And another thing to note, Cliff Amore had a double-double, 11 points, 15 rebounds. I think that's what Alabama thought they were getting in Cliff Amore. He's kind of been inconsistent this season. Just kind of being that physical presence, because that's what Alabama lacked last year, even on their Final Four teams, kind of that physical presence inside.
Yeah, because Grant Nelson was probably their best, interior defender.
Yeah.
But while he's tall, he's a little, his frame is kind of thin.
He's more of a 3-and-D type guy,
Yeah.
like a not a traditional big man in the sense, kind of like the Danny Wolf on Michigan.
Yeah.
To someone that's a true big man. Last year they had Nick Pringle, who's not good.
No,
he's not very good at all. But Cliff Amore, he's a slight upgrade, but just struggles with consistency.
He's a better upgrade.
That was his calling card at Rutgers, at least.
I'll say this: as far as Alabama's, tournament chances go, like if they want to make a deep run, the two players for them they're going to need to step up. Obviously, like Mark Sears is the obvious answer. He's the the leader, best player on that team. The two players that need to carry their own weight in March if Alabama does want to make that long, if they want to replicate last year, pretty much, needs to be Aiden Holloway and Cliff. Those two guys are going to be huge because if Cliff becomes what they wanted him to be, and the reason they pursued him in the portal, that interior, defensive presence, that's what they're going to need to make a deep run in March. They need someone who can do that. They're going to need someone also to take the scoring load off Mark Sears, and that's what they went and got Aiden Holloway for and was hoping he'd become. And he's had games where he's been really good, but he's also had games where he's been super inconsistent.
Mm-hmm.
So just kind of my final thoughts on that one. If you got anything else to say for that one?
Not really.
Okay. Which one you wanted to hop on next?
I guess we can talk about the Wisconsin-Oregon game.
Yeah, big win for Oregon. Big win.
Yeah, that was a crazy game. It was one of the early games. I was kind of following the score. I was driving, but I saw the score of the games.
Yeah.
Oregon, Wisconsin, after they had a couple impressive wins, they kind of Oregon just came back and fought back into that game.
I mean, Oregon was an 8.5-point dog, and they won outright.
Mm-hmm. On the road in the Kohl Center, which is a tough place to play.
Yeah.
John Tonji played pretty good for Wisconsin. Didn't shoot great from three. But he's more known for just kind of driving. He's that athletic guard type. Wisconsin didn't shoot great from three.
I was about to say nobody in Wisconsin shot well from three. They only shot 25%. That's probably the reason Oregon won, because Oregon shot 34% and Wisconsin shot 25%.
They still came back. The big one for Oregon, Nate Biddle had 23 points. He's big for him. I know when Purdue played them earlier this year, he was big. But a big win for Oregon. That probably helps their tournament seeding a little bit. Maybe puts them up a seeding position. So
see, with Oregon, I don't know why. I still like Oregon when it comes to the tournament. Like, I have no reason to be like, ooh, that's a team. If Oregon gets the right matchup, that could be a team that make a run, in my opinion. I don't know. I have there's no stats I have to back that up. It's just overall gut feeling. I felt that way about them all year for some reason. Like I think Oregon could be a team who can make it like be kind of not a quote unquote Cinderella story, but can make a little bit of a deeper run. You know, like they could be in the Elite Eight. Like I don't know why.
I know they've done that a couple times before. It's the Dana Altman effect. I mean, he's a great coach.
He is.
He did that. What year was it that they went to the Final Four? Was it 2014?
I don't remember, man.
Let's see. What year was it? Let me look it up. I know they weren't like one of the best teams in the nation, but they went on a run.
Yeah, it's all about
2017. 2017 was the year.
Okay.
And I know last year they played a close game with Creighton, that absolutely insane game with Creighton.
Yeah.
It was back and forth the whole way. But I mean, they could go on a run. They're a very Jekyll and Hyde type team.
Yeah, it's depending which Oregon we get.
Yeah.
Like if we did the Oregon that like we saw against Wisconsin, then they have a chance. It just depends, like you said, which Oregon do we get. So we'll see.
I know Wisconsin losing kind of effectively eliminates them from the Big Ten title contention. We talked about the Michigan State. I think it's down to a 2-team race unless something crazy happens.
Yeah, it's going to be someone from Ann Arbor or
East Lansing.
Thank you. I was blanking.
But do you have anything else on that game?
No, that's all I really had for that one. I was looking at the West Virginia Texas Tech game.
Yeah, we can talk about that one next.
Okay.
Texas Tech just rolls over West Virginia. West Virginia is they're just kind of in a building year, I'd say. Especially after Tucker DeVries was out for the year. They had that big win over Iowa State. And they just haven't done much since then.
They just shot 4 from 3 this game too.
JT Toppin.
Oh, looks like we lost Jacob. But anyway, I'll pick up where he left off. JT Toppin finished with 22 points. Went 9 of 16 from the floor, 2 of 5 from 3, 2 of 3 from the free throw line. Let's see what else we got about this game. Like I said, West Virginia shot super poor this game. You know, only 32% from the floor, 22% from 3. Their free throws were good, 63, which is actually not that good now I think about it. Yeah, so that was a big win for Texas Tech. Kind of keeps them alive in that, Big 12 race. They're 8-2 in the last 10. We lost Jacob Farrell this time. But so while I'm here running this by myself, let's see about this game. What else I want to talk about? Watch just me. Ole Miss goes on the road, drops 1 to Vandy. Vandy's been a good team at home all this year. Let's see. Yeah, Vandy's 12-2 at home. They've been pretty strong there. Ole Miss was a slight underdog at 1.5. Let's see. Yeah, this game, they had a couple double-digit scores. They had 4 guys in double digits. All have pretty good games. They shot pretty well from 3. Shot pretty well from the floor as well. And just with Ole Miss, they just drop another one, I guess. Kind of waiting for Jacob. Kind of just trying to stall in here. Let's see. Ooh, yeah, BYU wins a big one on the road against Arizona today. The end of that game was crazy. Let's see if I can pull that ending up real quick. Oh, no. 1 second. Jacob's typing to me. But yeah, Jacob just texted me his internet died, he said. So we'll try to get him back in here in a second. I'll hold down the fort for a sec. But yeah, I guess it gives me a platform now to rant more about Janai Broom. I know y'all are excited to hear that. Let's see. I'll spare y'all, actually. Let's find something else to talk about while we wait for Jacob to get back. Kansas annihilates Oklahoma State. I mean, kind of expected. I mean, they were a 15-point favorite that game. They were minus 1,500 on the money line. Let's see. Yeah, Kansas leading scorer of that game was Hunter Dickinson with 16, 5 of 9 from the floor, 5 of 9 from 3. They put up 96, almost breaking 100. Jacob will be back on a minute, he said. Let me answer him. But yeah, just me right now, so I'm just trying to make small talk. Let's see. Clemson goes on the road, handles business against SMU, where Clemson was a 1.5 point favorite. Let's see. Yeah, Zachary had a good game. 5 of 8 from 3, had 19 points. Hunter had a good game. He was 17 points, and he went 3 of 6 from 3, 6 of 12 from the field. Let's see if anyone from SMU did anything. Nothing super crazy. They had Harris had 16 points, but yeah, as far as the ACC goes, Clemson's still kind of in that mix for being a contender. Let's see. So we got Clemson, like I said, beat SMU. And while we wait for Jacob to get back, I might as well talk about some Auburn stuff while I'm here. So, yeah, with what Bruce has done at Auburn, it's been crazy. Let's see if we can get Jacob back in real quick. Oh, there he is.
Okay,
there
I'm
he
back.
is.
My internet decided it wanted to crash.
That's okay. I did a little bit of stalling. I kind of yapped for a little bit.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I only covered like a few games, but I really didn't go into super big detail.
Mm-hmm.
So if you want to hop back into it, where are we?
We were talking about Texas Tech, West Virginia.
Oh, yeah.
JT Toppin.
Yeah, that was, like you said, kind of a blowout. Really not much there. I mean, it's kind of a rebuilding year for the Mountaineers.
Mm-hmm.
So not really much to say about that one, I guess. But, yeah, I was trying to talk about, hopping around with Ole Miss, Vandy, Clemson, SMU. Mm-hmm. So if you want to hop on any of those games, just let me know.
I know Ole Miss, Vandy. Vandy got another big win over Ole Miss. Just kind of one of those toss-up games. They always play well at Memorial Gymnasium. If they get a team, that place will be an intimidating place to play.
I think it already is. Like,
yeah, I mean,
12-2 at home on the year.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's a tough place to play.
I know Purdue played there one time, like 2014, and it was a tough. Purdue lost, of course, but it was a tough place to play. Just kind of because it's a weird arena.
I was about to say, like, how they have like the bench set up, or like the coaches are like behind the basket instead of like on the side, is a super weird like setup. But it also helps them. Like it's a home court advantage for sure.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, that's all I really got about that one. I mean, Vandy just handled the business at home.
It was a close game, 77-72. Malik Dia and Sean Padula played good for Ole Miss, but I mean, Vanderbilt just had more consistency as a team. So,
dude, I remember Sean Padula lit us up again when he played us.
Yeah, I was watching that game. I was sitting in the parking lot at Wake Forest.
Dude, I was here just like watching it back there, and I was like, I cannot miss right now. Like, and we were defending him pretty well too. Like, he had a really good game that game. But yeah. So we can cover whatever you want, because I pretty much just kind of just yapped a little bit, kind of went over the scores, what players did what.
I know. Talking about Clemson over SMU too. I know you kind of talked about that. I mean, Clemson continues to look good. they may be a dark horse, like Elite Eight type team again this year.
I mean, they made a run last year.
Yeah. So they brought a lot of the talent back from that team, but they've had some impressive wins. I think SMU's knocked themselves from any tournament contention at all after losing to Wake Forest and then losing to Clemson, especially in just a week at ACC this year. We'll kind of talk about that more in a few minutes. I think the next one, talk about saw over Missouri upset. Avicic had a bounce back game after the horrible game the other night.
Oh, he was awful against us.
Yeah, against Auburn, yeah.
That was so bad. He was like 0-10 from 3.
Yeah.
Like at some point, you gotta stop shooting, man. Like it's just not your night, you know?
It's funny. There's last year, I don't know, some Kentucky fan called Big Z like the next, or said he was better than Zach Edey as a freshman.
I don't believe that.
It was some weird Kentucky fan, I think.
Yeah.
I remember seeing that, and I was like, what the heck are you talking about?
Yeah, if you don't mind, I kind of want to hop back to like Clemson, like in the ACC race. Like,
yeah.
Louisville and Clemson are only a game behind Duke. Like, so if Duke drops a game or two, which I'm not predicting them to because they've been great all year, but like if Duke drops a game, you have a 3-way tie for first place. Like, that's when things get interesting, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Like, could we see a tie in the ACC? Like, especially if Duke drops one. And like,
I mean,
Duke's
it's possible.
schedule, like, they go to Miami. Miami's not very good. They bring in Florida State. Probably should win that one. Wake Forest goes there, and then they go to North Carolina. Like, I know it's a rivalry game, like Duke and North Carolina, but like, we saw how the first game went.
Mm-hmm.
So
the only one of those that I could see Duke even struggling in is Wake Forest.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I mean,
Wake Forest, if they got that upset over Duke, they really need that because just mention it. Wake Forest lost a tough one to NC State. Talking about the bubble teams, that was a terrible loss to NC State squad that hasn't done too much this year after being in the Final Four.
And as far as like Louisville goes, like their remaining 4 games are super like favorable for them. Like they go to Virginia Tech, who's not very good. Then they play 3 straight home games after that against Pitt, California, and then Stanford. Like they have a favorable, you know, like matchup like these next few weeks. I mean, now that I look at it, low key, same with Clemson. Like Clemson brings in Notre Dame, that should be a win. They go to Virginia, probably should be a win. They go to Boston College, probably should be a win. And then they end the year with Virginia Tech going to Clemson. Like if Duke slips up even a little bit, the ACC could get very interesting very quick. So that's kind of all I had for that real quick. I just want to kind of, you know, pivot back to that. I had that thought process.
No, I mean, the ACC, I don't know how many teams they're going to get. I think the over-under would be 3 or 4 at this point.
The ACC?
Yeah.
Yeah. That seems about right. That seems fair.
3 or 4, depending on how the last 2 weeks go. I
mean,
Wake Forest really needs to win out.
Yeah.
At this point.
So, like, Duke obviously is in. They're going to be a 1 seed. Louisville will be in the tournament. Clemson. And then Wake maybe. Like, they got, like you said, they got to win out. But that's about it. So, like, at best right now, 3. Or no, at best 4. Most likely, probably 3. Like, it's just not a good conference.
I really want Wake to make it just for Steve Forbes. But they really should have won that NC State game yesterday.
Yeah.
But back to the Arkansas-Missouri game. Missouri dropped a tough one to Arkansas. Arkansas, that was a much-needed win. They've had their struggles this year as a team. Just kind of putting it together. Just as a young team. not a lot of team chemistry, just kind of a lot of new pieces, especially with John Calipari coming in. Pretty much a whole new team. They've struggled in an SEC that has a lot of teams that have sort of built their way up at the top of the league. So we'll see how they do down the stretch. They're not in tournament contention still. But that was a big upset win over Missouri. So, and another upset that took place, and was Oklahoma over Mississippi State. Oklahoma's also struggled this year in their first year in SEC play. But that was a much-needed win. You had Jeremiah Fears score 27 points. He's probably one of the few reasons to watch Oklahoma basketball this year.
Yeah.
He's going to be a great NBA player one day. But that was a much-needed win for them as well. Mississippi State, they've kind of had their ups and downs as a team as well. But just another big upset. So
I mean, like you said, outside of Fears, the really only other player that's like kind of worth watching right now is Jalen Moore. Like, he leads them with points, 17, rebounds with 5. But yeah, outside of like you said, Jeremiah Fears, there's not a whole lot to like with this Oklahoma team with its first year in the SEC. So
there's like one more game of the top 25 teams I really want to talk about. It was the late game. The BYU Cougars get another huge win over Arizona, 96-95. That was probably the most controversial game of the night, if I had to say.
Yeah,
there was some controversy about the win.
Yeah, I mean, Arizona had to put out an apology for what happened.
Yeah, I didn't see what happened. Was there some? Can you describe? Because I saw them putting out the apology. I didn't watch the game, but I know BYU and Arizona had beef for some reason.
Yeah, so pretty much I didn't hear it like firsthand because I had the game on in the background, but I really didn't catch the end because I was doing stuff around the house. But pretty much from what my understanding is that like Arizona made some like, derogatory chants about, BYU's like kind of religion, I guess you could say. And then they had to put out like an apology later for that. Yeah. So that's really kind of what happened. But
I know. Yes. I mean, it didn't help them win the game, but I think Richie Saunders or BYU's a sneaky team. I don't know if they are in the tournament contention or not, but they may be putting themselves in bracketology somewhere. I don't know if they're in the tournament. Let me just look it up real quick.
Yeah, while you do that, I'm going to be right back.
BYU tournament. They had BYU is led by Richie Saunders with 23 points. Good Canyon Catchins, 14 points. The Purdue trader took off. Arizona, Caleb Love, 27 points. I mean, he had a pretty good game. Didn't shoot them out of it. I just figured out what the controversy was. There was two controversies. Arizona doing the chants to BYU, and there was also a foul call with 3.2 seconds that essentially gave BYU the game. So there was a lot of controversy with that game. For all intents and purposes, it pretty much took Arizona out of any shot of the Big 12 title. I was just kind of riffing. What?
You talk about that Fresno State, like how they're investigating for players like
Oh
betting
yeah,
on themselves.
I saw that. I saw that earlier.
Like this is per Front Office Sports on Twitter. It says Fresno State is under investigation after 2 men's basketball players reportedly placed bets on their own games. Players were allegedly betting on prop bets, including the Bulldogs, including the under on points, total, and rebounds. Crazy.
Yeah, if that's anywhere true, for how bad they've been this year,
it would make sense.
That makes sense.
Like I'll never understand why players do this. Like they're not making enough money from it to like benefit them long term. Like especially if they're players who have like legit like NBA potential,
even overseas potential. Like
like, you pretty much blackball yourself from like getting anywhere in the future with your basketball dreams. Like the risk is just not worth the reward. I've always thought that was so dumb when players will bet on themselves to, not have a great game. Like it's dumb. It's so stupid.
Yeah. It shouldn't be a part of the game. I mean, hopefully the truth is found out on that one. I found out why another part of the controversy for BYU versus Arizona. There's a foul call with 3.2 seconds left.
Can we pull it up? Or
let me see if they have the. Let's find.
Because I didn't get to watch the end of it.
Let me present it. Let's find the end of the game. Present. Share screen. Find it. Let's find recap. There's 2 videos. We'll find the let's find the okay, I have it pulled up now.
Do you want me to add it to the stage?
Yeah, add it to the stage. Guess we'll play it. Foul with. I don't know if this was the controversial one or not. I think that was it. Let me find the next.
You might need to hop on Twitter and see.
Yeah.
But I would remove it for I look on Twitter.
Here's the fight after the game.
Dang. There was a lot going on, huh?
Yeah. That's why I said it was the most controversial game of the night.
Yeah.
I think the wildest fight I've ever seen in a college basketball game was the Xavier-Cincinnati game.
Yeah.
Where the whole bench is cleared and everything. Yeah, let's go find it. I'm gonna go find it on Twitter.
Okay, I'm gonna remove this real quick. But yeah. Yeah, what Arizona chanted after was crazy.
Yeah.
Obviously, I'm not going to say it, but wild.
Let's see. Okay, I found it. Share, present, share screen. Okay, here's the foul with oh, that's a questionable call. That is not. I don't know how you call that there. That's
not in that spot.
That's a terrible call.
Yeah,
because he was straight up too.
Yeah.
Unless they called it on the initial contact. It'd be one thing if they called it on the initial contact, but they called it after he went up to shoot. Yeah. That's not. He just bumped him.
Yeah, that's not a good call in that spot, especially when it's such a pivotal point in the game.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, not a good call at all. So that was. I mean, that's a controversial finish.
Yeah,
So
for sure. I mean,
BYU probably walked away with a.
they were gifted one.
Yeah, gifted one. If that
They were
would.
gifted one, and that's it happens in every sport. It happens with every team, But you hate to see stuff like that. And what was such a good game too.
Yeah, close game. Caleb Love played good. It wasn't like Arizona didn't play great. Both teams shot the lights out. BYU was 14 of 31, and Arizona was 10 of 22 from three. Both had well over 50% from the field total. But, I mean, to have a call like that, just not good for college basketball.
I think that'll be my least favorite thing, like in sports
Yeah.
forever, when you have like an absolute classic of a game, and then at the end, the referee inserts himself. Hate it.
For no reason.
Hate it. It's just the worst.
There's a couple other games I wanted to talk about on Saturday before we move to Sunday. The game I was at, of course, you had I went to ETSU. I went to ETSU versus Wofford at Wofford. ETSU played great down the stretch. They dominated Wofford for a lot of the game, shut down Kyler Filowich, the guy that shoots granny shot free throws, like Rick Barry, but he's not as good. Humari Peterson continues to impress. It's his third straight game of like 25 plus points. He had 27 points, 10 rebounds. Seymour got back to form after his injury at 16 points. Big step up game from DJ Hughes, had 12 points. Almost had a double-double. Wofford, their leading scorer, Corey Tripp, had 31, but at the end of the game, the refs also inserted themselves in that game as well. Like the last 2 minutes took like 30 minutes. I'm not joking. Like they called like 20. They called stuff that was not fouls on ETS. Like Wofford turned the ball over like twice, and they called a foul on ETSU. It was ridiculous because ETSU was going to win anyway. The game was like 12 points, 10 points with like 2 minutes left or something like that. 10 point, around 10-ish points. But I mean, that was a good game, good game to carry momentum to into the final stretch of the season for ETSU. And Wofford's, as far as a rating on Wofford's arena, it was a pretty nice arena. Did look like a church though, like a mega church. But yeah, after my SoCon minute, see, is there any
game for Saturday? Pretty much.
Yeah, I do know there's one I wanted to mention: Gonzaga versus St. Mary's.
Okay.
St. Mary's beat Gonzaga 74-67 to lock up the Western Conference title. Gonzaga has not looked like their usual self this year. 8 losses. I mean, St. Mary's is just a better team this year. You have Augustus Marcelonis. He didn't play that great, but St. Mary's just kind of played their efficient style of basketball. 8 for 19 from 3. Gonzaga was 4 for 14. Didn't really. Graham Ike played good for him, but wasn't enough. Do you have any comments on that game? Or?
Yeah, I'm sure glad no one in this on this podcast picked Gonzaga to win the national title. That'd be embarrassing. So I'm glad no one's done that, and I'm glad no one put money on it preseason. That'd be embarrassing. So I'm glad that didn't happen.
Did you do that?
No, would never.
No.
Did not do that. Never. Maybe.
I know. I had them. I had them as a Final Four team after that Baylor loss at the beginning of the year. or Baylor win at the beginning of the year, but it turned out Baylor stunk and Gonzaga was meh, just kind of meh. But
Yeah. Man, when they won that game, excuse me, against Baylor, I was so hyped.
mhm.
I was like, man, I got a chance, but I guess not. We'll see. Hey, maybe they turn it around, you know? Maybe they surprise some folks. I'm hoping.
Just checking to see. Yeah. Is there any other big, like, mid-major games?
Not to my knowledge. I think we covered most of it.
Ohio beat Akron. We talked about them earlier with the MAC. I was
Yeah,
upset in the MAC. First loss for Akron at Ohio. Ohio's typically a good basketball school, so we'll see how that goes. But
the Bobcats.
yeah, Akron is no longer undefeated in conference play.
But I think that's mostly it for Saturday if you want to move on to Sunday.
Yeah, I think that's it. Yeah.
I'll give you the floor for Sunday because
Sunday.
you're the one who probably wants to lead off on this one.
Yeah, it was a rough Sunday for me as a Purdue fan. There's three ranked games, two big games, I'd say. The first was St. John's over UConn. Another tough loss for UConn. St. John's controlled this game just kind of the whole way. UConn kind of got smacked around. At the end, they kind of brought it back a little bit. It was a 14-point game, 89 to 75.
Yeah.
But St. John's is looking like a Final Four team. We talked about that earlier in the show and before we got on here. They just kind of smacked around St. John's. So do you have anything on that?
It's kind of one of them games, man, where like St. John's just handled business. Like they just continue to win and win and win and just, you know, they did whatever they wanted to against this UConn team. Like I was watching this game at a local restaurant nearby, and I was like, oh my gosh, like I thought it would be closer than it was because like it was a 3-point spread. Like they just thought this would be a kind of a closer game, but like this was never in doubt that St. John's was going to win. Like even if UConn, like when they made runs there, St. John's just kind of, you know, put their like foot back on their neck. Like they never really let them get up. So just domination, pretty much. That's all I really gotta say. Just they handled business. Now this next one, I know you hated, but you got to lead off with it.
It was it was a rough Sunday for Purdue fans. The Purdue IU rivalry played their second game of the season at Assembly Hall in Bloomington. Purdue just got smacked around in the second half of the game. Indiana won 73 to 58. Purdue had gone on a big run at the end of the first half, and it looked like they were going to take this out easily, but to start the second half, we just let IU come out and dictate, do whatever they wanted. We turned the ball over 3 or 4 times, and that we kind of gave up after a Luke Goody 3 in the second half. It's been a slide for Purdue here recently. We've lost our last 4 games, first time since 2020. Fletcher Lawyer played good with 20 points. Colvin played good with 11 points. When Braden Smith and TKR don't show up, I think that's kind of that was the game. Indiana just kind of took it to us defensively. I don't know how. It's kind of crazy. They just played through the interior. They shot 51% from the interior. They only shot 4 of 19 from 3. We shot 7 of 16 from 3s, but I think we just let them dictate the second half and play at the pace they wanted. We couldn't score in the second half. We only scored 21 points. that's not Purdue basketball, Something's got to give. I think the players just got to come together. They got to just calm down. I think we were just rushing stuff the whole game. It's kind of been that way. It was that way against Michigan State. Second half against Wisconsin as well. Just rushing the game. Braden Smith is rushes shots, rushes passes, turns the ball over. Don't get me wrong, we've had some good wins this year, but just too many issues. So we need to figure something out fast. I know we don't have the depth, at least in the front court, but just a rough game all around. I will note there was some atrocious ref calls in this game. To start the game, Anthony Leal on Indiana, he should have got ejected. They probably should have called a flagrant or a hook and hold on Caleb first too, but the refs that they even let it get to that point was ridiculous. They didn't freaking Anthony Leal did a nut kick on Caleb first as he looked back and kicked him, and they didn't call anything. They just decided to not call anything. And then later in the game, they called a flagrant on TKR for no reason. He didn't even touch him. They called a flagrant for no reason. So it was one of the more, I would say, worst ref games I've seen this year, to be honest. Even though Purdue didn't play good, it was just.
Sorry, I just had a cramp.
Oh yeah.
Go ahead, my bad. I caught a hamstring cramp in both.
Just a rough game for Purdue overall. So, I don't know if you have anything to input, William.
Yeah, not right now. I'm in pain, brother. Oh my God, my hamstrings.
Give yourself a Charlie horse.
Both of them, dude. Not just one.
Oh my gosh.
Bro. Oh my gosh. Dude, we got to clip that. Just holy crap. Dude, I'm still hurting. Give me a second.
William Luke's going on IR.
Yeah, dude. Freaking, yeah. Oh my gosh. They're still cramping, bro. What do I do? I need some pickle juice, dog. Oh my God. I tried to make it not noticeable, but oh my God, I can feel my hamstring oh dude, what the freak? Never again. All right, sorry, go ahead, Jacob. My bad, bro.
I kind of spoke my piece on the game. It was a disappointment. I will say this was kind of the least excited I've been for a Purdue IU game in a while because just everything surrounding it, IU not being good, Purdue kind of in a slide right now. There's a lot of issues for us to figure out as a team. I think we can figure them out eventually, but I don't know if they're going to be this year or if it's just going to be kind of a season where we're if we win a couple games in the NCAA tournament, I'd be fine with that after last year's run, but I do know the pressure will be on Matt Painter, Braden Smith, TKR going into next year because with that amount of talent, we need to make a deep run. So I think we need to go to the portal, get some good depth in the wings especially because Cam Heide and Colvin have been way too inconsistent. Big dudes, maybe tell Will Berg to go. He's not Big Ten material. We love him as a dude, but go get another big man that can actually play valuable minutes. But yeah, that's kind of my assessment.
I got you.
I don't know if you have anything.
Nah.
I don't know if you watched the game.
All my thoughts about the Purdue game, you pretty much, nailed it. I agree with pretty much everything you said.
Because I mean, we kind of discussed this on Friday in the Rob Doster interview. Purdue has a good starting five, but the depth just isn't there this year. We don't have a physical big man like Zach Edey, and no physical defensive guard, kind of like Lance Jones was. So
Yeah.
definitely need some of the freshmen to
Step up. Which they can.
Yeah. I think CJ Cox is that guy, but he's just not there as a player yet. And when Braden Smith and TKR aren't going, that's kind of our get. That's kind of makes that's our team. There's no answers.
I mean, yeah, TKR and Braden Smith are y'all's top two scorers, and like they just didn't have a great game, but Fletcher had a good game.
He hit a lot of threes. So it was all in the second half. The TKR and Smith, they played decent in the first half, but they were like rattled. It was all mental. It was mental mistakes.
Because y'all were up at one point, weren't y'all?
We went on a big run and then just did nothing to start the second half, and just kind of by that point it was like 12-point IU lead. So
yeah, I mean, obviously Purdue Indiana is a big rivalry between you guys. Like, does this bother you a whole lot, or like kind of like you're just kind of like, they stink anyway still?
Yeah, that's kind of my thoughts. I was like, it's not really I wouldn't say it's an impressive win for Indiana.
Yeah,
Purdue just didn't play good because Indiana shot like 4-21 from three, and we just kind of let them get what.
I think it's one of those things where, like, if Indiana was firmly like in the Big Ten mix and you guys were as well, and you dropped that game, that would definitely be like suck because it's your biggest rival as well. Mm-hmm. But it's one of those things where, like, even with this loss, you're still, in my opinion, if y'all played like 8 out of 10 times, you probably win 8 times.
Yeah, we probably win.
One of those 2 times where you did lose to them, and you have another chance at the end of the year to avenge this loss.
I think so. One thing it just depends on if we meet in the Big Ten tourney or not.
Yeah. Well, I thought y'all played them one more time in the regular season.
We did. We played them like 2 or 3 weeks ago.
Oh, you're saying you are? Oh, okay.
We beat them at Mackey, so it's not really like we.
Yeah, so you split.
Yeah, we split.
Yeah, it's not like they swept you or anything. And like, if I had to pick what spot I'd rather be in, I'd rather be in Purdue's spot than Indiana's spot.
Yeah, me too.
So like, it's not like Purdue lost, but at the end of the day, the world's still like, still gonna come around. Like, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Not the end of the world for the Boilermakers whatsoever. But
I know people were trying to troll me earlier, and I was like, no, just stop.
Yeah, like
one thing I did find funny is Mike Woodson. Somehow he got the chair Bobby Knight through in the 80s. He had it on the sideline.
He had it with him?
Yeah.
If I would have known that, I would have bet Indiana money line. That would have changed everything.
Yeah.
That changes everything.
That was pretty funny. I will give him that.
That is funny. I wish I had that information pregame, dude. I would have hammered Indiana money line. You can't lose with the chair there.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's crazy. That's funny, honestly. I didn't even know that.
Uh-huh. They were talking about it on the game.
Yeah.
Let's see.
The only other game today that like I really got a chance to look at was part of the FAU Memphis game.
Mm-hmm. I think FAU was in the game for a while, and then Memphis just took over.
Yeah, I think that sounds right. I mean, Memphis ended up winning by 19, so they kind of handled the business at the end there. Xavier beat Seton Hall.
Mm-hmm.
Green Bay lost again.
Yeah, to Youngstown State.
Yep.
South Dakota State wins. Oh, yeah.
Beat Kansas State.
UCLA beat Ohio State. That was a kind of a big one for UCLA.
Yeah, I did have that game on, yeah.
Creighton beat Georgetown. Creighton continues to they are flying under the radar. I think they're going to be one of those teams. They're one of my firmly in my tournament dark horse territory.
You think so?
Yeah. Rutgers beat USC. Dylan Harper. We mentioned Dylan Harper.
Yeah.
I mean, also
Claude had a good game.
Also, another interesting note, I kind of mentioned it in a previous podcast, but Greg Campy at Oakland became the Horizon League's all-time winningest coach. He passed Brad Stevens and he passed Brad Stevens and somebody else. I forget who it was. And then another. Well, this is more on a crazy note. IU Indianapolis, their team bus caught on fire.
What?
After their game, like their whole team, their team bus like burn up. Everyone was.
Who did that?
I'm gonna find it. Let me find it.
But wait, which team did you say their bus burnt?
Yeah, IU Indianapolis used to be IUPUI.
Are you serious?
Yeah, like they're on their way back from their game against Northern Kentucky.
Yo, I didn't know that happened. That's crazy.
I saw it earlier tonight.
That's actually insane.
Like all their team equipment burned up, and like people's phones and wallets were in there. Some players were.
Like when they were like in the game or something?
No, it was like on their way back.
Why did they just? Yo, you weren't kidding, dude. Is there any way we could like get this on there so people can see this?
Let me find Twitter. I can pull it up on Twitter.
Yo, that's actually insane.
That was kind of much.
Dude, what? Hold up. I didn't even know that happened. Like, I didn't see anything about that on Twitter. Dude, that's so sad. Let me add you to the stage. I mean, geez, you just feel awful for them, though.
Yeah, it says IU Indy isn't doing anything publicly, but if you'd like to give a gift or donation, they link their thing under this tweet.
Yeah, if you're in a spot where you can go and donate, go help them out. That's sad. Like,
because I know they've kind of had struggles as like a program.
Yeah,
I know they had like a merger, and then they kind of like they're one of them. I don't know, poorer programs in Division One, higher Division One.
Yeah, obviously, yeah, that's super sad. Like I said, if you can go and help out, go donate. Like,
yeah,
that's so sad. People losing their phones and stuff, like their personal belongings. That's awful. Dang, I'm not going to hear about this. Like this happened today.
Yeah, I guess so. Because that game was early. I saw that game and I was like, oh, I remembered that.
Yeah. Dang, dude. Jeez. Let's see. Is there any other games you got? Because I think I got most of mine wrapped up that I really wanted to cover.
Yeah, I think that's it for me.
All right. Well, let's see.
I guess we'll do an outro.
Yeah.
Thank you all for coming on tonight. For those of you that joined, I don't know if there's many, but it was fun to talk the weekend of basketball, especially after that Rob Douster interview. Go follow One Shine and Recap on Twitter, Sectator Media on Twitter. I'm the PEF423. So many different stuff, but I think we'll be on again next Friday. I'll have to confirm with Travis and the rest. It was a big weekend of college ball.
Really fun. March is getting near.
March is very close. We are like a week out.
Very close.
From the end of like most of the smaller leagues. Most of their tournaments start next week.
Mm-hmm.
Next week. So
I'm excited. I'm looking forward to it.
I'm excited. I may, this is a side note, I may do some coverage for both the State of the Bucks and Sectator Media when I'm down in Asheville for the SoCon tournament. So
nice. That'll be sick.
Yeah. But I think we've covered everything tonight. Thank you, William Loop, for talking ball. I
Of
know
course,
there was
man. Thank you
we
for
were
hopping on with me. It was a
full
blast.
strength.
Always
Yep.
is.
Yep. I think
But yeah,
that's all for tonight. So you all have a good night.
appreciate y'all tuning
Thank you.
in. See you
Go
next time.
subscribe to Sectator Media.